Hi guys, it's Mr. Taylor here. Got lesson 6 for you today on non-fiction writing. So your learning objective is how can I write a jet paragraph today. So really brief recap then. Formula. This is all about language. Paper 2, question 5 is how to answer that question. You start with your plan, then you do a nerd, head, apes, mad, jet. Each of these little acronyms, that just means a series of letters that stand for something. Each of them is a paragraph. Okay, so in total, you're going to write 5 paragraphs. And today, we're doing this little guy here. So if you haven't watched the other videos, been through the other videos for Nerd, Head, Apes, and Mad, go back and do them now, and then do this one last. All right. So very brief revision activity. Pause the video and see if you can remember what nerd stands for. N-E-R-D. That looks like a U, doesn't it? N-E-R-D. What does that stand for? Pause the video, see if you know. All right, cool. Hopefully you got it. It stands for name, topic, extended metaphor, rhetorical question, excuse me, rhetorical question, and finally direct address. Okay, I'm not going to go through and tell you what each of these means and how to do that. You can go back to the previous videos if you're not sure. Okay, so next one, head. What does head stand for? H-E-A-D. What does that stand for? I'm not very good at writing D's, am I? Pause the video. What does that stand for? Okay, H stands for hyperbole. E stands for emphasis. A stands for anaphora. And then D stands for, I'm testing myself out. Oh yeah, direct address. Okay. Next, apes. What does ape stand for? Pause the video, see if you know. Alright, A stands for anecdote. P stands for personal. E stands for expert. And S stands for statistic. Okie dokie. Next one, mad. What does mad stand for? Pause the video. M-A-D. What does it stand for? Alright, yeah, it stands for mention and destroy. Okay, so just a brief word then to say that if you go through these, you're like, what's a head paragraph? I don't know how to do that. Go back to the video for the head paragraph and work through that. If you've already done it before, but you've just forgotten, then do it again, but use one of the different questions. Remember at the end of the video, I always give you several questions to answer for each of these paragraphs. So you could practice all of these like 10 different times with different questions, and that'll really help you to remember how to do them. So I won't spend any time talking about any of them, but just move directly on to jet. There's a picture of a jet today. So jet stands for justify. What does this stand for? Emphasis and tricolon, which we'll go through one by one. All right. Emphasis. It could be emphasis. Sometimes I say emphasis. Sometimes I say the verb form, which is emphasize. Yeah, it's the same thing. This is the verb. Emphasis is the noun. All right. So if you, yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. So we'll start off with justify then. First thing you got to do for this part of the paragraph. Okay. So the first sentence in this paragraph is you've got to think about what you've been arguing for in your writing. So in my examples, I've been talking about homework, haven't I? So I need to think about what I've been arguing about in my writing. I've been arguing that homework should be banned, right? Why is that important? What would be the worst case scenario if we didn't do what you think we should do? So I might say to you, don't run around barefoot outside. Right, I might write a whole newspaper article about running around barefoot outside. What could be the worst thing that happened if you run around barefoot outside? You might step in a pile of dog poo, or you might step on a bee or something, or like a shard of glass, right? So I think I've got to ask myself, what's something really bad that could happen if we don't do, if your reader doesn't do what you're saying they should do? After you've done that, you just write that as your justification. That is your justification. I should have said at the beginning. If you justify something, you're saying why. You're saying this is why I think what I think for this reason right here. So you're justifying the whole of your article you've just written, because you're saying what I'm saying is important, because if you don't do what I'm saying you should do, this thing here could happen, right? So You write that like this. Hopefully by now it is clear that, and then whatever you're arguing about here, you can say homework. You might be talking about nurses should be paid more. You might be talking about don't run around barefoot outside. As a joke, you're not writing about that. Anyway, so you say hopefully by now it's clear that, whatever you're writing about. But just in case you're not quite convinced yet, allow me to leave you with one final parting thought, colon, and then put what you've just thought about up here. So one final parting thought. You might step on glass. That's a stupid one, but hopefully you understand what I mean. After we're through the jet one, I'll show you an example of this for the homework, okay? So your emphasis answer, here's step-by-step for you. The first thing, number one, why might your idea take a while to implement? Implement means put into place. So what is it that's going to make it a bit slow? Obviously it's slow, because otherwise you wouldn't be writing this article, would you? You don't have to write a persuasive article convincing people to breathe, because everyone just does it. That's not going to take a while to implement. But you do have to write persuasive articles saying that cars should be banned, because everyone drives cars, or there's lots of cars on the road. Not as many at the moment, though. So why might it take a while to implement? With the cars thing, well, because people need to get to work, don't they? So you need to think, why might your idea take a while to implement? After you've got that answer, you think, what could your reader do to help engineer the change you have been asking for? So whatever you're talking about in your article, what could they do? Think of a few things they could do. Out of those things that they could do, what would be the most important? And then you emphasize that one thing. And that's why it's called emphasis. Okay, so remember, here's a dot, another dot, another dot. Oh, so no one does that. There's 3 dots. I can emphasize this dot by making it bolder. I can emphasize this dot by underlining it. I can emphasize this one by pointing an arrow at it. So it's just showing which is the most important one. Excuse me. So with this one, you might say, okay, what could they do to help with banning homework? Okay, so they could do this thing here, and this thing here. So they might talk to a head teacher, talk to teachers, carry out a survey. But if you only do one thing, make sure you do this one here. And that's what the emphasis part of this paragraph is. So you write it like this. I understand that, and then put why might it take a while to implement. So I understand that, why wouldn't it happen immediately? But there are steps you can take to help. You could put the first thing here. You could put the second thing there. You could even put a third thing there. And then you say, but if you do nothing else, at the very least, make sure that you, and then put the actual thing that you want them to do there. So I actually got this a little bit wrong. Think of 3 things that they could do, and then you think of one thing that they must do. This is the thing you're asking them to do. And then finally, you finish with a tricolon. A tricolon is where you've got, so tri means 3, right? And colon means bit of sentence. So a tricolon is when you've got a bit of a sentence that is repeated 3 times. So I'm going to show you 2 examples. One's from the Marines in the US. They've got a slogan. They say that the Marines are the few, comma, the proud, comma, the Marines. Full stop. This is tricolon because it's got a repeated bit of sentence, which is just the, right? So the few, the proud, the Marines. That's a tricolon. And then Churchill, in one of his famous speeches, used the tricolon. Oh, this is going to take me ages to write it, but it's worth it, I think. Never in the history. My heath is bad today, by the way, guys. So I'm sorry about that. Of human endeavour has so much been owed by so many to so few. Never in the history of human endeavour has so much been owed by so many to so few. So if you can work out what's the tricolon there, where is the tricolon? Pause the video if you want. Yeah, that's right. It's the so. All right. So never in the history of human endeavour has so much been owed by so many to so few. That is a tricolon. You've got 3 little repetitions of the same bit of the sentence. So the few, the proud, the Marines, the so much, so many, so few. So you just choose part of the sentence that you like and repeat it 3 times, and that is a tricolon. So all the way through then, justify, emphasis, tricolon. Here's my justify. Hopefully by now it's clear that the setting of homework is utterly pointless and should therefore be abolished once and for all. But just in case you still aren't convinced, let me leave you with one final parting thought. We're responsible for the lives of young people in our care, and if we get it wrong, we could ruin their chance of happiness and success. Back to my planning stage, I asked myself, what's the worst thing that could happen? We could literally ruin their chances of happiness and success. So that's what I'm justifying. That's how I'm justifying my answer, okay? Emphasis. I understand that there will be a lot of people who disagree with me, and it might be difficult to finally put an end to this horrible habit, but there are steps you can take to help with the ongoing battle. You could write to your local school. You could speak to teachers about their opinions. You could even arrange a meeting with a head teacher. But if you do nothing else, then at the very least, make sure that the young people in your life are supported and that they don't feel under pressure over their homework. And when we come to our senses, when we realise the error of our ways, when we finally stop setting homework, perhaps our young people can finally go back to being young people. So I've got tricolon there with the when we, that's a tricolon, okay? Right, so that's how you do a jet paragraph. I'm aware that I went through that quite quickly. So if you have any questions or any of this doesn't make sense, as always, just pop me an email and I'll help you out, and I'll let you know how to do each part. Here's the questions again. Feel free to do all of them, just one, do whatever you want, but make sure you do practice at least one jet paragraph and send it on through to me, and make sure you click submit or complete or whatever it is, or on Google Classroom, because otherwise it will say that you haven't done it, which would be a disaster, because I know you have. So look forward to seeing you soon. Hope you're all well. Take care. Bye.